Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of hell. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
It's time for the Bonnie Sher Show, a whirlwind of wit, wisdom, celebrity, and the boomer life. With a little bit of this and a lot of that and so much more you don't want to miss, here's Bonnie.
Just winding up, folks. Just winding up. Well, hello and welcome, old friends and new from near and afar. I'm Bonnie Sher, and I'm going to be your host through the worlds of entertainment, the great boomer generation, and of course, the tightly knit community of type 1 diabetics. I am now going to swallow. That's a long sentence for me. Just kidding. But what I do want to thank you for tuning in, and I invite you to call in and join us. Any questions, anything. Call-in number here is 323-843-2826. Feel free to share your thoughts, or you can tweet the hashtag. That's # BSHER Radio, Sher Radio on Twitter. Okay, before we get this show on the road, I want to take a second to acknowledge jazz great and Grammy-winning artist Wayne Cobb for my super duper hero, because I'm a super duper hero, and I have a theme song. So he did the super duper hero theme song. Yeah. And of course, as always, a big thank you to Corey Bowen for providing me with the jewelry that he and his company Crown and Anchor allow me to wear in exchange for this promotional mention. You can find Corey, and his last name is spelled Boan, on Twitter, and or if all else fails, hit me up at Bonnie at BonnieSher.com, and I'll hook you guys up. Now, let's see, where do we go? Oh, when we come back, I'm really kind of chilled over this, you know? We have arranger, producer, music director, guitarist par excellence, and that's Terry Wollman. We'll be back in a minute.
Your life story is more than the things you do. It's a story built on the moments you make today and the impact you have on others. How big is your story going to be? Live your legend.
Let me take this opportunity to say welcome, Terry Wollman. I like this wavy thing. I have to remember which camera I'm looking at before Jarvis, my producer and engineer, starts waving his arms around. It's a good thing he's a big guy. I can see it. Anyway, Terry, what's been going on? Everything,
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for inviting me. I was so happy that you just reached out to me to join you on your show. I'm happy to be here with you.
Believe me, it's my pleasure. And thank you for that turnabout by mentioning Julie Budd to me.
Oh,
She
yeah, Julie's
is
great.
and has
Yeah.
been a wonderful friend, a
Mhm.
wonderful entertainer, and a wonderful human being. So, you know the old saying, any friend of Julie Budd is a friend of mine.
I kind of feel the same way. I do.
Well, I guess we kind of meet up and match up. Boy, now I mentioned to you a few minutes ago that the first time I saw you was a few years back at Spaghettini in Beverly Hills, which unfortunately no longer exists.
Mhm.
Of course, because I loved it. I loved the
Right.
food. I loved the entertainment. And of course, sort of like that old show, Brilliant but Canceled.
Yeah.
It was a shame, but I know that Dave Cos still has a club down in Seal Beach. Am I correct?
Yeah, Dave's still involved with Spaghettini and with the cruises. I've played on 3 of his jazz cruises, which has been a lot of fun.
Oh, I'll bet.
hmm
I'll bet.
But yeah, that night that you're talking about was the album release for Melissa Manchester's 20th record, You Gotta Love the Life. And I co-produced it with Melissa, and it was just a fantastic experience and a beautiful record. So that's where we ended up having a live show and celebration the last time I saw you, I think.
Had you worked with Melissa before?
A little bit, but we played on TV together years before that. I'm not even sure if Melissa remembered that when I used to music direct the Byron Allen show. Melissa was on, so I played with her then. But I met her. I got reintroduced to her through our friend Keb Mo, and we ended up working on a little project together, and then developed a friendship. And then Melissa sang on one of my records,
Mm-hmm.
and we ended up writing a song together, and then that just developed. Our friendship grew. I mean, I knew her years ago. I had friends that played in her band. My dear friend Peter Hume was her music director for years. So, but I never really got to know her until, the last few years. And then our friendship developed into a conversation about the possibility of me producing her record with her. And of course I said yes.
I couldn't have said no to that, except I wouldn't have known what I was doing. But that's what you have over me, which is why I'm sitting here. You're sitting there.
Right. Fortunately, I do know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
But
say.
I've been a fan of hers since her first record. So, to work with her on a musical level is a gift. And
Well, I think a lot of the boomers can relate to that because we all go back to those
Yeah.
days, and that's what we were
Mhm.
either loving to or
right.
aspiring to be as somebody who
Everything.
could have that attitude which
Mhm.
she portrayed, plus lyrically.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about
Her-
another great songwriter.
Yeah. Melissa's a fantastic songwriter. And so
Does
we
she
did that
live
record
on the
together.
East Coast?
Pardon?
Is she living on the East Coast now?
No, Melissa lives in Los Angeles now.
Uh-oh. I
Yeah.
feel I promise I'm going to try really, really, really hard not to seek her out. I promise. I'll tell her you did it.
So Melissa, doing that record together, which turned out wonderful, led to me writing and conducting an arrangement for her on her latest record, The Fellas, which is her 21st record, and it's standards. And she asked me to do an arrangement of Chances Are, the Johnny Mathis
Oh,
song.
wow.
And so I went in, and that was my contribution to this record. I'm really proud to
And
be a part
do
of
we
the
have a
record.
release date on that yet?
It just got released.
Or do they say dropped?
They say both.
They
Yeah.
do.
Or
I
whatever
say
the kids
anything
say.
I can
Right.
remember at the time. Bounced.
Yeah, it dropped. I believe it dropped 2 weeks ago, the first single, and it debuted #1 most added on Billboard. So
that just
she's off
gave
to a
me
good
some
start.
goosebumps. That's fabulous.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
And
so
I think there is something quite wonderful. But you know what? I'm getting a note here that it's time to do one of those little breaky wakies.
sure.
So don't go away. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back right after this. Stay
When
there.
experience becomes something to hide, I say we own it. Lose all that negativity. Just let it go. It's just bad energy. Oh, and lose those terrible black balloons they give you on your 50th. What's up with that?
Hey, we hear you. That's why our members love AARP the magazine. It celebrates you with fun and provocative content, from lifestyle and entertainment to in-depth reporting. And it's just one of the great benefits of membership.
If you don't think this is right for me when you think AARP, then you don't know ARP. Get to know us at aarp.org/possibilities.
To be at peace with myself is the most prominent thing, and I am at peace with myself. I didn't build this deck, I'm just playing the game. That's all. That's it. Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise. Been making sure they get the nutrition that I need, and it's a balanced meal. My name is Maurice McGriff. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
You are tuned in to the Bonnie Show. It's my show. What's my name? I'm falling apart. Pardon me. Okay. Hi. Feel like a consumptive. My name is Bonnie Sher. Welcome back to the Bonnie Sher Show. We have the pleasure of speaking with Terry Wollman. And Terry, what I'd like to do is go back a little bit. We were chatting about, we started out with Billy Preston.
Right.
But some names which I also picked up, and Melissa, were Dionne Warwick, The Fifth Dimension, Wilson Phillips, Al Jarreau, and Eartha Kitt.
Yeah, that was amazing working with Eartha. All of these people, you're just touching these memories that are also very special to me. Eartha Kitt, I worked with on the Late Show on Fox TV. It was the first late night talk show that I music directed. And so we did that for a year, and Eartha came on, and she was a delight, and it was so.
Did she make with the?
Oh yeah, she sure
a lot
did.
of that.
Yeah.
You already got that working for you. Now, see, that I can do. Remember my own name, not so much.
But Eartha was great, and she could really sing. Beautiful artist. And Billy Preston. That was my first tour as a guitar player. My first rock tour, 1981. Went to Europe and played in Billy's band, and that was remarkable experience. Wilson Phillips. When their second album came out, they were at the top of their career. I got asked to music direct and put a band together to go do live concerts, and we did the Tonight Show, and that was great because I love pop music. I consider myself a pop musician with a jazz background. So that was really fun for me because it was a lot of electric guitars and really well-written songs. Who else? Al Jarreau, I worked with and met the first time when I was working on the Byron Allen Show, music directing that late night talk show for 3 years, and had, Al was, when I played with Al the very first time, when I went home that night, I kind of felt like my life was complete. Like I actually thought,
can take it, yeah.
I don't want to die right now, but I could. If I died right now, I'd be okay, because it was, that's what you train your whole life to do, to have an experience like that at the highest level of musicianship, but with a person that is just so giving and generous and beautiful, like it's such a big heart. Yeah. So, to get to go and reconnect with Al on Melissa's 20th record when we brought Al in to do a duet was a real treat for me and for all of us.
It's a goosebump moment. Yeah. Speaking of we haven't spoke about it yet, but what do you think was your inspiration to get? I mean, loving music, that I can understand, but and playing the guitar and learning the guitar as an instrument, but to then go on beyond that as a music director, as an arranger, which is such incredibly, I find, difficult, crazy kind of thing to hear. And that takes, what inspired you to get into this?
I always wanted to make records and tour, and I just thought it was a cool thing. It excited me and intrigued me, and I knew that I needed to get good. I needed to train and get good at it.
That you did.
But I was, growing up in Miami, I was exposed to a lot of remarkable music, everything, from world music to pop and R&B. And the Bee Gees were living in Miami and recording there. And I knew their engineer and their producer. And I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world that they were going to the studio and making records and writing string arrangements and laying down electric guitar parts. And so I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that. And I thought, basically, the producer, Albie Gluten of the Bee Gees, said that he went to Berklee College in Boston, and that's where he had learned how to do all of that. And so I thought, that's where I need to go. And even though Miami had a really fantastic school and program, and I studied at the junior college there and got a great education, but I decided to go to Berklee because I considered it a pop school. And I didn't really want to be a jazz musician, and I didn't think it was really practical for me to be a classical musician and make a living as a guitarist. There's a handful of people that do that. And that wasn't, even though I studied classical guitar, that wasn't going to be my thing in life. I knew that. So I wanted to be more rounded as a musician. So I went to a school where I could learn to arrange. I was always writing songs, and I went into college as a guitarist. I came out as a musician.
Well said. Well, and understood. I understand that. I think one of the greatest compliments I was ever given was when somebody referred to me and said, "She's no singer, she's a musician."
Right. There you go. Yeah.
Stood up tall. I'm a musician. I can hang. Can you imagine if this wasn't your life now, just for a second? What do you see yourself doing? Do you have any picture? Do you ever bother thinking about stuff like that?
I think about that all the time, actually. I mean, it's been sort of an ongoing thing, I think, since I was young, where if I didn't do this, what else would I be doing? I would want to be that guy that I would be involved in, like, rescuing people. Like, maybe not just like a paramedic, but
I get you. No,
the guy that jumps out of a helicopter into the water and saves people, or even though the reality is I can't really do that, because years ago I had a bicycle accident and I have a spinal injury and I have a titanium plate in my neck, and so that's off the list. I can't do that. But I think I would be involved in helping people, or things that are another thing. Like, I thought, the perfect job for me is teaching water skiing at Club Med, somewhere. I'd be really happy.
You could do that, huh?
Yeah. I'd practice guitar and write songs, and then I'd take people water skiing and eat fresh fish every day. I mean,
doesn't sound bad.
No, it's a lot less complicated than the lives that we have now. So those are the kind of things. It would either be helping people or doing something
that helps people.
Having a
well, don't you? I mean,
rental place.
It sounds like it's all very tight. I mean, I don't mean to put words into your mouth, although I have a tendency to do that. Everything that you actually do now, and the things which you have mentioned, all have a very strong commonality, and that's
which
about
is what?
Giving.
Yeah, you're right. I don't really think of it that much, but you're right. You are right. And
that's what I say.
I think that's part of the reason that I said yes to hosting my own radio show as well. Because when the opportunity was presented to me to be a radio show host, I thought about what would I do with the hour. And, for me, I thought it'd be really interesting to shine the light on other people and to make it in a way like you do. You share information. You pull the curtain back a little bit, and you show what people are really about and what's important.
Well, now that you've brought up the show, which is on Wednesdays, Making It with Terry Wollman, where can people hear this? How do you broadcast? What time do you broadcast? Can you give us a little
Absolutely
dish there?
We broadcast live every Wednesday, 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can hear it live streaming on entertalkradio.com, or if you want to go to the archives, you can go, because every show is archived on our website and also on iTunes as a podcast, like your show. So you can, excuse me, you can go to entertalkradio.com/makingit and listen to all of our episodes. And a few of them we've actually been videotaping with a 3-camera shoot and going to various artists' studios. Yeah, it's really fun. We just went to Ken Cragen's home office 2 weeks ago, and I interviewed him, and it was fascinating. I felt like I got a master class, in being successful, and what it takes to maneuver and also, something that's really key for me, and I think whatever I do, I'm aware of it certainly when I'm hosting the show, but is to really talk about what's important in life, not just about art, which is extremely important to me. I mean, I've dedicated my life to being an artist, but there's still life, I think it's just so important to make sure that you have relationships and friendships and eat well and exercise and travel and support other people and not just be self-centered, and that's important to me.
Somehow I'm not surprised that that's your view and your vision, and I say bravo.
Thank
props.
you.
Props, as they say. I was just all new lingo. It took me the longest time to figure out what they were propping up. I thought maybe it was me. Anyway, please, before we have to say goodbye for now, let the audience know how they can follow you.
Okay. And before I say that, I want to let everybody know that this past year I worked on a really cool movie that's on HBO called If You're Not in the Obit, Eat Breakfast. It's a really fantastic movie.
Yes.
And I produced Tony Bennett and Dick Van Dyke and Alan Bergman with Dave Grusin. It was just incredible. But the movie is great because it's about being in your 90s and 100s and living vital, active lives. It's great. If you haven't seen it, it sounds like you know the movie. But the Dick Van Dyke song, Young at Heart, and also the Alan and Marilyn Bergman song that Alan sang and Dave Grusin arranged and played, Just Getting Started, they're on the Grammy ballot for this year. So I'm really excited. They just got released to iTunes, those two singles. So everybody go check those out. But to find out anything about me, of course, I'm on Twitter and Facebook at Terry Wollman, and but go to my website because my website, terrywollman.com,
is a very cool website. I was playing there last night.
Thank you. It's a bit, but we want to make sure everybody always goes there because that will take you to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and my records, discography pages. You can find all of my records and actually. My web designer, Lena Ringstad, forced me, and I'm really glad, she forced me to write personal things. I do that on all of my records for the liner notes, but also for my website. I write stories. I write about why I did something or how I did something, or even stories that aren't really about the music, but just stories about me. So go to terrywollman.com. It's always changing. As a matter of fact, we just did a photo shoot and we're going to put up some new pictures and redesign the whole look again, just to keep it current and interesting. But that's the best way to find me. And all my contact information is there. So you can email me, info@terrywollman.com. And I'll get back to you. So if anybody wants to book my band or just find out more about my records, just shoot me a line.
That's terrific. Terry, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, Bonnie, thank you.
I look forward to seeing you in the future, and you take good care of yourself. It's great to see you.
Stay well.
Well, it was a pleasure to have Terry with me today, and as I go to break, I'd like to acknowledge the important work of the Diabetes Research Institute and encourage you to please support their efforts. Millions of children and adults, we dream of a cure for this devastating disease, and the dream is to live without the painful finger and pricks, without the insulin injections, and of course the risk of life-threatening complications. Scientists at the Diabetes Research Institute are working hard to make that a dream become a reality by finding a biological cure, and they are advancing research to patients and changing lives. Please visit them online at diabetesresearch.org. Our song of the day is coming up next, right after this. See you on the other side, and enjoy.
Type 1 diabetes can be living in anyone.
Type 1 diabetes is when your pancreas doesn't produce insulin. It's not caused by your diet. It's not caused by anything you did.
Type 1 diabetes can be very serious.
Blindness, amputation.
Learn more about type 1 diabetes.
Help support JDRF finding a cure.
T1D looks like my brother.
T1D looks like a friend.
Type 1 diabetes looks like me.
Yes, he was. Well, of course, that was a magnificent Melissa Manchester and the Terry Wollman Band. Phenomenal, huh? Well, welcome back to the Bonnie Sher Show. Boomer Life. My co-host for today's episode is Rachel Zinman, a member of the T1 community from Australia, and I know you live in a cute little town. What's it called?
It's called Mullumbimby.
Well, I know you. How did you get? I mean, I know how you got there, but how did you get there?
Oh gosh, it's such a long story, but yeah. Long story short, I emigrated to Australia when I was about 19, and then I was a dancer, and I went up there to do a little dance performance, and fell in love with the place, fell in love with a guy, and never left.
And there you have it. Okay, well, we are here to talk T1D, but I was just fascinated by that, too. So, how long have you been living with T1D?
Well, I was diagnosed in 2008, so I guess that's 9 years now. Yeah.
So share your story a little bit. Let's hear. We all have a story of that time.
Yeah. So I was a yoga teacher. I'd been teaching yoga internationally, and I wasn't feeling so great. I'd been having a lot of nervous system issues and issues with my health, my digestion overall. And in 2008, I started getting really exhausted. I kind of collapsed one day, and my husband at the time insisted I go and have a blood test. And the blood test revealed that my A1C was, slightly elevated. And the doctor that I went to was a general practitioner, and he just basically said to me, you have diabetes, and you're going to have to figure out how to fix yourself, because he had assumed it was type 2 because I was an adult and I was 42 at the time. But luckily I went to see an endocrinologist, and he sort of said, well, we don't know what it is. Maybe it's prediabetes, maybe it's type 2, maybe it's something else. We don't know. So let's just keep an eye on it. So we kept an eye on it for about 6 years. And I really managed with diet and yoga and lifestyle to kind of keep my levels in control. And then eventually I couldn't control them anymore. And then he said to me, look, let's, do further testing. And with the further testing, it revealed that I had autoimmune diabetes. When we had that testing, I didn't really understand what that meant. But then when my A1C became higher and higher and higher over those years, he basically said, yes, you're going to be type 1. You are type 1. You're going to have to go on insulin. So for a long time, it was easy for me to sort of stay in denial that I didn't really have diabetes because I wasn't so symptomatic. So it wasn't until I started to experience a lot of symptoms that I was like, oh, wow, this is really happening. Mm-hmm. So now I'm on insulin. Yeah.
Now, do I remember that you have quite a distance to travel in order for you to seek out medical care?
It's not too far. I mean, in Australia, I have a local endocrinologist. The medical system in Australia is very generous when it comes to living with type 1 diabetes. The government covers most of our insulin. It covers our test strips. We don't get as much coverage for devices like CGMs and things like that, so we're still working on that. But insurance covers pumps. So yeah, it's not too difficult actually to live with diabetes in Australia.
Well, you're an excellent portrayal of that. Okay. Also, I understand. Well, I know you're here in the States. One of the issues with getting you on before was there was such a great time difference. One of the two of us was going to be coming in our jammies. But now that you're here in the States, why don't you tell our audience why you're here and what you want to accomplish and where you're going to be accomplishing this. Let's take some time to talk about that.
Okay, so through my journey with diabetes, I was a yoga teacher, so I was always really passionate about health and fitness. I was really shocked in the beginning because I was a yoga teacher and I was like, how could someone like me get diabetes? And as my diagnosis progressed, I became, more and more intent on using my yoga to help me manage my diagnosis. And eventually I realized, I'd really like to share what I've learned and what I've understood about diabetes and yoga together with others. And I went online and I looked to see if there was any other books written by someone living with diabetes who does yoga for people with diabetes. And I saw that there were some books out there, but nothing like what was happening for me. So I decided to write the book and also to really come at it from the angle of Ayurveda, which is the sister science of yoga, which has actually been working with diabetes for over 4,000 years, and says that there are 20 different types of diabetes and very specific to your constitution. So I wanted to share with people that sometimes when people do yoga and they live with diabetes, and they might go to the yoga studio and have a low, or they might be saying, well, it's not for me for this reason or that reason. A lot of it has to do with understanding what your natural constitution is, and then how you can find a yoga practice that's absolutely right for you, so that it brings you into balance and brings all the stress down, so that you can actually manage your diabetes, with grace and ease, and so that you can really thrive with diabetes. So the message in my book is yoga really helps you thrive with diabetes when you understand your constitution. So I'm here to share about the book. It's being published on October 10th, and it's going to be launched in LA on October 10th at the Mystic Journey bookstore, but it's also launching this weekend here in San Francisco, which is where I am. And I'm doing a couple of really awesome events. One is a benefit for Beyond Type 1, which is an incredible organization which draws they just draw together such a diverse community. They're international, and they're raising money and raising awareness for Type 1. So the yoga class that I'm doing Friday is for anybody. It's not just for people living with diabetes, where they can actually, have a yoga class with me and raise money for a great cause. And then on Saturday, I'm doing a book signing and a reading at a place called Book Passage in Corte Madera. And this is really, anybody who lives with someone who has diabetes. A lot of people have family members. This book is just accessible for everybody. It's even accessible for yoga teachers. And then Sunday, I'm raising money for JDRF at another event, which is an actual yoga workshop. So, lots of great events coming up.
Let me ask you a question. I personally have never tried yoga. Does yoga require a lot of physical strength?
No, it doesn't. And that's what I really am trying to get across to people, because a lot of people say, well, I'm not fit, I'm not flexible, I don't have strength. And the way I've sort of structured the book is to really help people start from square one and build up their understanding of what yoga is, and also how yoga is really accessible. So simple things that you can do every day to bring your stress down. So breathing techniques, concentration techniques, practices like, gratitude and devotion, bringing more beauty into your life, watching your thoughts, noticing what's happening with your thoughts, and understanding the nature of your thoughts. So yoga is a holistic system. Even simple little things like foot massage at night, or doing long relaxation, lying on your back. I mean, that's the best kind of yoga. It's just lying down and relaxing.
Sounds like I could sign up for that. I'm really good at that. I also used to practice hypnotherapy, and I'm hearing a similarity in terms of it's very much about the breathing to put somebody into a state of relaxation, and how very important each and every one of those breaths really are, right before you tell the client that he's really a monkey. No. Although there were a couple. I recently had an occasion where I'm not one who's usually prone to panic attacks and whatnot. I'm pretty steady. And yet, that's what was happening. And I take enough medication just to keep this train moving. So I'm not one to take a Valium or any of those type of drugs. And it was, middle of the night kind of thing. Well, what am I going to do now? And what I did is I went back into my breathing again. You've just said something about who would be, the strength issue, because I'm on that list. I don't have the greatest physical strength anymore. But knowing that this could be something that I could apply into my life to make it better, because I've even said to my endo, I understand that emotions and stress will mess with my numbers. I've just never figured out how much to bolus for being nuts. That was I haven't seen that written anywhere. But knowing the little bit that I know. So tell everybody again the name of the book, please. Oh.
Okay. So the name of the book is Yoga for Diabetes, How to Manage Your Health with Yoga and Ayurveda.
We've got it. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I hate to sound stupid. Really hate to sound stupid, but what's Ariada? I'm probably not even saying it right. I remember the name.
What's Ayurveda?
Oh, that makes so. What's that?
So Ayurveda is the sister science of yoga, and it's the science of health, or they call it the science of life. And it's really the Indian system of healing. So we have our Western medical approach, and then we have a Chinese medicine approach, and then there is an Indian medical approach. So Ayurveda has been known to the Indian system of healing for over 4,000 years. So it's something which, we really look at our diet, we look at lifestyle, we look at herbs, all sorts of things, and even yoga, breathing, anything related to yoga is involved in Ayurveda, and it's based in the elements, so earth, water, fire, air, and space. And it says that the elements are alive in us, and we have a combination of elements which make up our constitution. And that's really what I share a lot of in the book, is understanding Ayurveda, how Ayurveda works, and how you can apply Ayurveda to your life with diabetes in very simple, practical ways.
Well, you just sold one girl, I'll tell you that. Seriously, though. But so that people can follow you and know what's going on. I know that you're on Facebook. That's how we first met. Tell us your website and maybe some of the locations and dates that you have coming up.
Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to be in the Bay Area from October 6th through till the 8th, and I'm going to be in Venice at Mystic Journey Bookstore on the 10th of October. And then I'm heading to the Diabetes Sisters Conference, where I'll be teaching yoga from the 13th to the 15th. And then I've got my next book launch is a panel, which I'm really excited about, which is going to be on the 21st of October. And that's going to have some really fantastic people like Susan Greenberg Wiener, Riva Greenberg, Danielle Hargenrader, Marina Tsaplina, and it's going to be moderated by the Diabetes Daily senior editor, Alison Kaglia. And we're going to be sharing how to live well with diabetes, as well as launching the book.
Outstanding. That's a great gaggle of gals you've just mentioned.
Yeah, we're super excited about it.
Well, you're a super gang. You should be. Really. I wish you all the best, Rachel.
Thank you.
Please keep in touch with me. Let me know what's doing. I can forward it along to our viewers and listeners. And I also want to know how people can follow you. Is there a website? We started on this. We talked about Facebook.
I know, I forgot to put it in there. So it's www.yogaforddiabetesblog.com. And that's my blog. But if they want to find out about the events, it's the same, www.yogaforddiabetesblog.com/events. So it's pretty easy to find where I am and what I'm doing.
That's terrific. Rachel, thank you. Thank you for being here and telling us, and thank you for writing the book, and thank you for your energy and wanting to share with others. I think that's one of the most brilliant things that stands out to me in our community is our willingness to share and because we understand. I mean, I've always maintained that it takes a one to know a one. Doesn't mean that the family doesn't love you. But even my endo, I finally mentioned to him, I said, look, arguably you're the finest endocrinologist in the country. But one thing is you've never been a type 1. And I thank you. You have shared beautifully literally with the world. And I am just tickled to know you. So you take good care of yourself, and I want to hear from you. This was Rachel Zinman, ladies and gentlemen. So now if any of our fellow T1s would like to occupy the chair, which is that of my T1 co-host, it's very simple, really simple. Send me an email. That's all you have to do. To Bonnie at bonniesher.com. We'll find a date. We'll have you on. It can be done by phone, by Skype, or here in the studio with me. Next up, Boomer News, which is today, comes to us from the Wall Street Journal. The economic impact when baby boomers retire. And then we'll have views from my soapbox. So back in 60 seconds.
Chemicals have invaded our homes, our laundry detergents and the clothes we wear, our dish detergent and the plates we eat off of, our cleaning supplies and the air we breathe in.
We are here to put an end to this chemical invasion.
So we started Simply Earth, essential oils with a purpose. We are on a mission to make your home natural at an affordable price.
Why use chemicals when you can make your own detergent with essential oils?
And no more paying $30 to $100 per bottle. That is ridiculous. Our oils are pure and tested and half the price. How, you ask?
We cut out the middleman, and we don't mark up our prices to take insane profits.
And with every purchase made at Simply Earth, 13% of the profits go to help end human trafficking.
So shop Simply Earth and help make your home more natural at honest prices.
The decision to retire is one of the most important personal financial decisions anyone can make. Well, it turns out that it also has a profound macroeconomic impact that we are only now beginning to appreciate. Economists have known for a long time that as the U.S. population ages, it'll tend to slow down economic growth just because we'll have a smaller workforce as a result. But there's new evidence that suggests there's another impact on the economy that's potentially even more important. Because older workers tend to be the most knowledgeable and the most experienced, when they retire, that hurts the productivity of everybody left behind. And that drags on the economy through productivity growth. These findings come from a new economic research paper that just came out in the last week. The economists looked at all 50 states, they looked at the ones that aged faster, and they found that in those states, economic growth slowed more. About a third of the slowdown was because their workforce wasn't growing as quickly, but the rest of it was because the remaining workers just weren't as productive. You know, this kind of makes sense. Older workers aren't just the ones who are most experienced and capable, they also tend to make the people around them more capable and more confident and knowledgeable about how to do their jobs. If you look around the country right now, there are employers from coast to coast grappling with the fact that some of their most experienced employees are now coming up on retirement, and they're very worried about how to replace them. There's a lot of sort of tribal knowledge that you acquire on the job that you cannot simply teach in college. The country as a whole needs to come to grips with this, because if it doesn't, it's facing a double whammy from the aging of the population. This, I think, adds an extra impetus to a lot of the discussion now that we should do more to extend retirement ages, both in private pensions and in Social Security.
And we're back. It's time for the views from my soapbox. You know, the one where I come up with who I think has done something terrific. And, of course, the shout down is to somebody who I think probably should have thought better of what they've done. So we'll start out with, I'd like to give a shout out to a wonderful showman named Oba Babatunde. Oba, and the reason for the shout out is that Oba has built a show which honors Sammy Davis Jr. It first opened, I believe, in San Diego at the Old Globe Theater and is touring the country. It will be here in Los Angeles this Saturday, October 14th, at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Well worth your time and effort. So check them out. Now my shout down is to the state of Alabama, which has a rule on the books which states that, and I quote, anyone who has lost the franchise to vote cannot regain it until they pay off any court fines, legal fees, and victim restitution, which has fostered an underclass of thousands of people who are unable to vote because they don't have enough money. I think that's really, really wrong. If you disagree with me, write me, Bonnie@BonnieSher.com. I'll listen. I don't know if I'll agree, but I'll listen. Well, before we say goodbye today, I would like to thank my guests, Terry Wollman and Rachel, pardon me, Zinman, for taking the time to come in and share their lives with us. Also, I'm finding it. Also, here I go, gay. Okay, I'm going to find it now. I know you're going to be mad at me, but I'm getting there because this is important. We did that. Oh, I know what I wanted to tell you. We have a new company with us today, and that's Simply Earth. And I would like to thank Simply Earth for their support of today's show. You can visit simplyearth.com and check out the subscription Essential Oils Recipe Box Service. Well, that's our show this week, and I hope you'll return again next week for another 50-minute trip through the land of entertainment, through the wonderful world of baby boomers, and of course, the essential group of us, the type 1 diabetes community. Until then, please visit BonnieSher.com. Matter of fact, we have a new website up. You might want to take a look. All sorts of good stuff there. Follow the #1 Bonnie Sher on Twitter and like the Bonnie Sings Lena, Lena, Facebook fan page. As I wrap, I know that many of you are aware of the special role that Sammy Davis Jr. played in my career. He was my mentor. He was my friend. And I'd like to end this show kind of Carol Burnett style, you know, with a little nod and a little wink to you, Mr. D. Have a good week.